All right, so we are still working our way through Jacob's return home. We are now in chapter 32, still in Genesis, the first book of the Bible. But at this point, Jacob and Laban have made peace. Laban has gone back home, and Jacob is continuing to go forward in his journey to get back to where he's from, or where his brother Esau is now living. Esau, when he last saw Jacob, swore revenge because Jacob pretended to be Esau and received the blessing. And this blessing, along with the birthright, meant that he was going to be the oldest. He was going to assume everything, inherit everything from his father, and that left Esau like in a really bad spot. And so Esau, after spending all these years kind of being really close to his father and having that type of relationship with him, was going to be left out of everything. Like, he wasn't going to get anything from his father. There was no inheritance for him. There was no portion of land for him. There was no birthright, his name, everything, the legacy that his father was passing down was not going to be his, as they had discussed and planned. And so he was rightfully mad and swore revenge against his brother and was like, as soon as my dad dies, it's on sight. He's out of here. I'm not going to do it. As soon as my father closes his eyes, I'm going to take my brother out. And that's how they left things. So Rebecca, who's the mom that meddled and messed everything all up for her sons and tore their relationship apart, sends Jacob away. Jacob spends almost 20 years with Laban and gets 2 wives, and then gets 2 more wives, and has 12 children at this point. He has 11 sons and 1 daughter. And so now he is journeying all the way back home. And so we pick up in Genesis chapter 32, and we're going to cover just the first 23 verses in this video. And we'll pick up in the next video, and it'll be a third video where Genesis chapter 33 is discussed, because it kind of gives us the whole story of him traveling home. And so it says at the start of 32 that as he was traveling on his way, the angels of God met him. He traveled and came to a place where the angels existed. And this is something that has happened to Jacob before. Jacob actually, when we see the dream that he has where the angels are moving up and down the ladder, just a couple of chapters back, when he's on his way out to where Laban is, and now he's on his way back, and he stops and he has an encounter again where he sees angels moving. And so while it's there, he calls the place Mahanaim. And that really means a place of 2 camps, meaning the humans live here in this earth. We all exist here, but angels exist in this space as well. He now sees angels, and he sees that they are in this area, and they're just 2 camps of people, effectively 2 camps of persons that inhabit this area. And so what he does in that space is, while he's there, he sends messengers out to his brother. So he sends messengers, and he's like, hey, go tell my brother that I'm on my way home. Tell him I'm coming. Tell him that, I've done really well while I was with my uncle. I have cattle and flocks and wives and children. I have, a lot of things, and I'm coming to you as your servant. I just want to be allowed to come back home. I'm bringing all these things with me, because if this is what I need to give you, then I'll give you that, so that we can make peace and call this a truce and let all this go. Like, I've made a truce with Laban. I know how to do this now. I know how to behave. I know how to act in my position, in my place. I don't have to be a whole fool anymore. Like, just let me come on back home. And so, and I said that he told him that he has children and wives. He does not mention the children and wives in this. He mentions flocks, cattle, wealth. He mentions servants. He mentions donkeys. But he does not mention the wives and children, because he don't know what type of reception he going to get. And he not sure if he needs to tell him he got wives and children so he can start plotting revenge. He tells him about the things that he's prepared to give away. He tells him about the things that he's prepared to offer him as like a peace offering to come back home. So in verse 6, the messengers that he sent out to his brother Esau come back to him. And when they come back with news. Now, sometimes when they come back with the news, we get part of the story, and we get the part of the story that's going to cause us to get into a frenzy, get into like this whole panic. But they didn't stay long enough, I guess, to get the full message. They didn't bring back the whole story because it sounds real bad right here, but we're going to see shortly that it's not what it seemed like when we get the message from these messengers. So these men who went out to meet Esau told him all the things. Hey, your servant is coming. He is prepared to kind of give you whatever it is you need. He's got all these things, all this wealth that he's bringing back home with him. So we just want you to know that he's on his way and that we want you to accept him when he arrives. And so they come back in verse 6 and they say, we came to your brother Esau and he is coming to meet you with 400 men. That is enough to put terror in the heart of anybody. If you got a problem with somebody and you're like, hey, you send somebody over and be like, hey, I don't really want to fight with you no more. I don't want no more problems. Let's work this out. And then their friend comes back and like, yeah, he coming. But he coming with his big sister and his big cousin. And, you know, he got a brother or two and an uncle in the crowd. Like, he done brought back this whole thing. Now it's scary. Now I feel like I'm about to get jumped. Now I feel like I'm being attacked. These messengers didn't come with the whole thing. So what I want us to caution us on, before we jump into anything further, consider your source. Consider the message that's coming. Is this the complete message? Is this everything that's supposed to be said? Or is this something I'm supposed to take to God in prayer? Is this something that I need to even be involved in? Because they came back and was like, yeah, your brother come with 400 men. They didn't say nothing about was he happy to hear. They didn't say he was mad. He was angry. They pulled out their swords and they was ready to come to war. They didn't bring that news. They just like, yeah, he coming with 400 men. That was enough. They was instigating. That's enough to stir the pot right there. But so what he does is important. Jacob got scared. He did. He got scared. And that's a scary moment when you have your whole life in front of you. Everything you own is right there and people are coming and it's enough people to destroy it all. And so he separated everything. He divided all of his stuff. And when he divided everything, his plan was, if Esau and these 400 men come and they come through and start to kill off all of my animals, if they decided they're going to kill off all the servants, then if I have two camps, remember, see them two camps? He got that idea. Let me separate this stuff. Let me break it out a little different. But if he had two camps while the first camp is fighting for their lives and being destroyed, the second camp can run. And they got a better shot at surviving. So what he does is he separates these two camps. He puts servants and he puts the animals and things like that he is prepared to lose up front. And then in this separate camp is the stuff that he doesn't want to lose, the things that he can't bear to be without. That's going to be his wives, his children, the most valuable of things that are light and easy to carry. So if they have to run, they can run with some wealth in their hands versus these young animals that need to be constantly watered or constantly fed. They got kind of old, mature. Let's run with them. Old Faithful is going to be in the back row. Okay. So he separates everything out. And then his plan is if he comes and attacks, then they'll be separate. In verse 9, he does the second part of his plan. He calls on God. He prays. He prepared what he knew to prepare. He did the thing he knew to do, and then he went to God. And that's something that sometimes we'll put into plan. You know, we start planning, we put our things into action, and then once we get in the middle of the battle, we be like, Lord, I'm out here driving. They taking me out. I'm not going to make it. Then we want to switch to God. But what he did is he did the work. He put feet to his faith. He said, I'm going to set this thing up the best way I can. And I'm going to ask God. Now, he probably should have prayed first. God, tell me what to do. Is there more to this message? Is there something specific I need to do to prepare for this? God, you told me to come back, but my brother's coming here with 400 men. This sounds stressful. This don't sound like the welcome party that I wanted or that I thought would be coming because you told me to go. He probably should have prayed first. But when he prays, he says what is needed to be said. He says, God of my father Abraham and my father Isaac, you're the God that my grandfather knew. You're the God that my father taught me about. You are the God who has done miraculous miracles. You are the God who has done so many great things for them. And you're the God who has been instructing me. I know you because of how they walked with you. I don't know you, I know you in the way that you're working with me, but you've done it for them longer. So I'm going to bring it back up, God. Remember all these great men that were in line with me? Remember now their prayers and their promises and the promise that you made to them about their future. Hey, here's their future right here, God. And he said, you're the God who told me to go home. And you said you do right by me, that you deal well with me, that you take care of me. And you said this. Now, I'm not worthy of this. I know who I am. I know what I've done. I know my background. I know how I ended up out here. I know all the foolishness that I participated in while I was out here. But I got two camps of people. I got everything I love, everything I own, everything I care about right here with me. And I'm praying that you don't allow us to be destroyed. I'm praying that you be with me in this moment. Because I'm certain that if he's coming with 400 men, he's not just going to take me out. He's going to take out me, the mothers, the children, the animals, everything. You promised me that I would be as fruitful, that my descendants would be like this number, be as numerous as the sand on the sea. You promised me that I was going to have this. And I done went ahead and I put feet to my faith and I done had all these sons. I'm doing the work. I'm walking in what you told me. I need you to hold up your end of the bargain. This is one of my favorite kinds of prayers. Sometimes we need to just say, God, you got me out here. You told me to do this. I was obedient. And now people are watching. You made a promise and you're not man, you're not going to fail. I need you to stand on the promise that you made me. And if not, we both going to be out here looking crazy because they know that I know you. They know that I'm standing on you, God. You told me to do this. You said you would make it successful. So we out here together. Both our reputations on the line, God. You got to be there with me. I have prayed that prayer. God, we both out here. And I'm trusting your promise that you gave me. And you got to uphold it. Because if not, you're going to look bad right with me. We both about to look silly. So God, I need you to come through. And he's saying in here, you gave me a promise. I stood on that promise. I'm still standing on that promise. I need you to make good on the promise. And so, in verse 13, he took everything and he took a rest. He took a rest. When you pray and you pray God to do something, you pray for peace, you pray for hope, you pray for understanding, you sit back and you wait for God to do it. And so, he then, in verses 14 through 16, he breaks out a group of animals. This is his offering. This is his sacrifice. This is his, I'm going to say, peace offering to his brother. He separates out, he's got goats and rams and sheep and cows and camels and bulls and donkeys. He got birds in the mix. He got baby animals. He got grown animals. He has the mothers with the babies. So that now he got milking animals. Like he pulled a good section out of everything. And he separates these things out and he makes them a peace offering. These are the things I'm prepared to give my brother. If I send these first, maybe I'll just hit him with wave after wave after wave of kindness. Wave after wave after wave of kindness. And I will continue to send these things out and they will definitely be able to calm him down because he'll see that I'm coming as a servant. I'm not coming as, oh, this my birthright. I'm coming to reclaim my land. I'm coming to take over what you got. And he said, I'm not coming that way. I've learned. I'm different. I'm a different person than when I left. And so Um, in verse 18 through 20. Through verses 18 through 20, he gives the instructions for the servants who are driving these animals. I want you to put a break in between each set. When the donkeys go, I want the donkeys to go, and then I want it to be a break. And when the donkeys go, the servant at the end, I want them to say, "This is a present sent to you, Lord Esau." He's calling him Lord, not God, big G in, in heaven, God of all, that type of Lord. He's not calling him that. He's saying Lord more like the title that royalty would use, where you are, little L, you are in charge of a particular area. So he's saying, I'm your servant, you're my master almost. I'm your servant, I work for you. Like you would say your boss or your supervisor, that's that type of title. Not big God. He's not saying that. He's not saying, oh, you're the Lord, Lord. He's saying Lord as though he is like a boss or supervisor. He's in a subordinate, that Jacob would be in a subordinate position to Esau. And so the message they're supposed to give is, Lord Esau, your servant Jacob is sending you this as a gift. And wave after wave is supposed to hit him. Wave after wave after wave of gift. And he sends him animal after animal after animal. He has filled out all of Old McDonald's farm. He has filled out every need that he would have. And these animals are selected because they are valuable. He's not sending him some pigeons that he caught, this one turtle that was on the side of the road. I caught this bobcat that was trying to steal a sheep. He didn't send him those things. He sent him milking animals. So not only do you have the young animal, but you have the mother who is producing milk. So now you know that she's fertile because she got a baby. You know that she has milk. So now you have several needs being met at once. So he's sending him everything he needs. And I used this once in a service to talk about all these different ministries inside of churches. I used this once to talk about all these different waves of wave after wave of needs that are met. When we are outside and we are canvassing and we are in missions or we are outreach or evangelizing, make sure that you are meeting the needs. Do not come to people with a page from the Bible and they are starving. Come to them with a sandwich. Then, if you see that they don't have socks and shoes, come to them with socks and shoes. Now that you've met these needs, I'm no longer freezing. I'm no longer starving. I have what I need. Now I can hear you better, but it's real hard to hear over this frostbite nipping at my toes. It's real hard to hear over the growl in my stomach about your Lord and Savior who will provide, but I'm on the streets. I need you to give me a God that will provide. We are God's hands and feet on earth. We are the ones. God is not just dropping manna from heaven anymore right now. He right now is using us and our means. He is blessing us so we can bless others. And this is that type of situation that Jacob was blessed so that he could be a blessing. And so these waves of gifts are literally the waves of things that you use to kind of meet the needs that people have so that you can reach them with the good news of our Lord. And so he sends all of those things. And then at the end, the last one that comes, the message is supposed to be, behold, your servant Jacob is behind us. He is now coming. And so he sent everything over and he got up. He took his wives and the children and he crossed them over a ford. Ford is like a body of water, like a stream or a river, the type of thing that will that kind of feeds off into a bigger river, ocean, that type of thing. Like it's like a stream basically, for the way I would see it. It's like a stream, like a smaller body of water. He crossed them over and put them in a position where there would be some small separation to protect them, because I sent all these waves and now I'm going to stand behind these waves. I'm going to meet my brother first and I'm going to see him first, and I'm not going to hide behind you guys. I'm going to stand here. And if he cuts me down, like he said he would when I left, I want there to be a space where you all have the ability to flee. You have the ability to escape. You have the ability to run and go and not get captured and fall with me. That you guys can still go and do the things that God said do. Maybe the promise is that my sons are going to live, but I won't. Because God don't think the way we think sometimes. So we need to, he's trying to put together a plan that's going to provide the most protection for everything that he loves and cares about that's with him. So I'm going to recap quickly, and then jump into the next video so that I can discuss out what happens after he takes this moment to kind of be by himself with the Lord. So, recapping, Jacob has now separated from Laban. He is on his way down the road. He is going to meet Esau, and he sends messengers ahead. The messengers come back with a real kind of funky message. And the message comes back that Esau is coming with 400 men. And so Jacob is rightfully afraid. He splits his family up into two camps. He has servants and animals in one camp, and he has what the family needs to survive, his wives and his children in a second camp. And so he prays. And when he prays, he's like, God, I'm reminding you that you told me to go home. I'm reminding you that I'm stepping out on the faith that you're going to do what you said. I'm also going to remind you of the promise that you gave me that my descendants will be as numerous as the sand on the sea. So I don't have to worry about all these things being cut off. I'm trusting you to do what you said you were going to do. I'm trusting you to be the God that you said you were. You were the God of my grandfather Abraham. You were the God of my father Isaac. These are the men that I know that know you, and you've done miraculous things for them before. I'm trusting you to do a miraculous thing for me now. And so he prays, and he sends waves of animals. He separates them out into different groups, and he sends them on. And as they go out, he has them deliver a message. Hey, your servant, there's another gift that's coming after this one. There's another gift coming after this one. And then he says, when you get to the last one, say, your servant Jacob is behind this last gift. And so he is prepared at this point for Esau to receive all these kind of waves of animals that are useful for farming, for life, for food, for sacrifice. He is giving him everything that he needs to show that he is coming in peace. This is a peace offering. And so he prepares all of that and sends it ahead and sits down to rest. He does move his family over a ford, over this kind of stream like body of water that kind of will give them a little bit more protection. If for some reason Esau is still mad and cuts Jacob down, then they'll have some time to flee, to get away, to run and find safety. So I want to remind us all that when we are in situations, do what you know to do. Let it be what God is telling you. Do what you know to do, but do not forget to pray. And when you pray, remind God of his promises. God, you told me that my needs will be met. And so this job is looking a little shaky and I'm not sure what to do. Tell me where to go. I'm trusting that you're going to provide for me. When you have a situation, pray, God, here's the promise that you gave me. I know my mama knew you. I know that my auntie knew you. I know that my grandfather knew you. And these are the people who taught me you. And I'm trusting the you that came through for them. I'm trusting you to come through for me. And if you don't have none of them praying people in your family, Ty Tripp is saying, same God back then, same God right now. So I'm pray that God, I know that the God that existed in the Bible, I know the God that I've learned to lean on is going to be the God that I need right now to do the thing that he said he was going to do. God is not a man. He cannot lie. He's not going to let up. He's not going to let up. He's not going to change his mind. He's not going to take the promise away from you. The promise is yours if he gave it to you. It will come to pass. It will happen. You just got to trust it. And sometimes you got to pray back that thing. God, you said this, and now both our reputations on the line because I'm foolish enough to believe you. So you got to be God enough to come through for me. So, all right, y'all. Y'all go out, enjoy, and be blessed.